talking to my therapist about dating, and I'm like, listen, I'm getting the feeling that I'm cooked. I'm getting the feeling that I may be single forever. And I said, I was stressing this week. I don't know. And she was like, well, how are you meeting people? And I said, I did go on Hinge and we matched, but he said he's going to pick me up at 7 and he just never showed up. So I just stopped doing that. And then I said, well, I'm kind of meeting people through friends. And I was like, how did you meet your husband? Because I'm invasive and I want to know about my therapist's life. And she was like, we met at a charity event. And I was like, that's low-key the coolest thing.
Are you sure?
If you ever need living proof as to how worthless modern therapy is, you need not look any further than listening to a modern woman complain about her therapy sessions. I mean, here she is, she's not going to therapy to get any type of real life advice, she's just using it as an excuse to complain, and therapists know this. That's why they have absolutely no problem actually divulging personal aspects of their lives while also telling modern women exactly what they want to hear. I mean, hell, this racket, they're practically getting free money out of the deal. Now, woman, asking your therapist about how she met her husband is completely pointless just because it's not going to work out for you. That's because everybody is different, but modern women operate on a hive mind and they think what works for one person is supposed to work for everybody. But it doesn't work that way. Your therapist might actually have qualities that you lack, especially if this woman has the resources to be going to charity events to pick up dudes. So sorry, sister, if you go to a charity event, those guys aren't even going to be giving you charity by talking to you for 5 minutes. It's just not in the cards for you.
She was like, you need to go to galas and charity events because, one, you're not going to find any broke men there. These are very sophisticated, educated men that want to help change the world, that want to donate. And that's how I met my husband. So now I'm going to galas and charity donations in person. Charity events, girls, I'm like, that is genius. She was like, girl, you're a therapist. You need an evolved man that you don't have to baby, that you don't have to be their therapist, because that's been my issue. I'm a mom and therapist to many men. And she's like, you need to find a man that is evolved. Go to these events. So anyway, it's just a new way we can meet boys.
I want to party with rich people.
Full disclosure, gentlemen and gents, I am not what you'd call an expert when it comes to charity gala events, but I did see photos of that cringe Met Gala where AOC showed up in a designer dress that cost more than your typical car to say that we needed to tax the rich, so I've always been under the impression that these events are typically by invite only. And if that's the case, then sister, you're not exactly the caliber of woman who can show up and compete with dudes who pat themselves on the back as they feast on filet mignon and talk about how brave they are for donating 10 G's for research to find a cure for scarlet rubella. And even if you could, these evolved, sophisticated gentlemen are going to take one look at you and see nothing more than a lost cause who wouldn't even be worth saving if you did come down with the case of the very same scarlet rubella that they were trying to find a cure. And if you were somehow able to magically figure out a way to gate crash these charity events, you are going to have an army of highly trained former CIA security officers drag you away before you had a chance to pretend like you knew how to be sophisticated. So it's best to just leave the rich folk alone, darling. There really is no hope for you at all.
I know it, your family knows it. Dogs know it.
Let's compare these three, shall we? Billie Eilish, 23 years old, just donated $11 million to help make sure Americans don't go hungry. Her net worth is $50 million. That means she gave away 22% of her net worth. Now let's look at philanthropic billionaires. Elon Musk, worth $486 billion, donated $101 million this year. That is 0.02% of his wealth. Mark Zuckerberg, worth $245 billion, has donated about $5.1 billion across his entire lifetime. That is 2%. So the 23-year-old artist gave a bigger piece of her world than the richest men on this planet combined. That is not charity math. That is character math. Because generosity is not about the number of zeros in your account. It is about how much it costs you to care.
You know, I hate to break it to you, sister, but the last time I checked, $5 billion is significantly higher than whatever the hell Billie Eilish donated to charity. And the fact of the matter is, you have absolutely no idea how any of this frickin' works. You can't throw money at a problem and expect it to be magically fixed. The US government has been trying to do that for the last God only knows how long, and it's gotten absolutely nowhere. That is because the charity game is completely rigged to only benefit the very same people who are donating to the causes. So if Billie Eilish is actually donating 22% of her net worth to make sure that Americans don't go hungry, well, not only is she incredibly stupid when it comes to food, she's also incredibly ignorant. There is no way that she is doing that unless she's getting something big in return. Either that or she's just an incredibly untalented pop star who just wants to show how great she is as a person while also bashing men. So it's really not a smart idea for you to be judging how other people spend their own money when you clearly have none yourself, sister. There's no shame to admit that you're broke. Yeah, except in your case, considering you're a strong and independent woman, it's probably something to be ashamed of in your case.
And when someone who could buy the planet won't even part with a fraction of it, but a young woman gives up a fifth of everything she has to help others, that tells you exactly who's doing it for the headlines and who is doing it from the heart. True wealth is measured in compassion, not commas. And these billionaires should be looking at their bank accounts going, am I really going to let Americans starve while I fund a ballroom? Does that actually make sense? Take a page out of Billie Eilish's book, Boys, for the Love.
Give me some money. Give me some money.
You know, maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I've always been under the assumption that the blue book value of planet Earth is significantly higher than $500 billion, but what in the hell do I know? I'm not a bond henchman, so I really can't vouch for what these guys do with their money, but even if that's the case, these guys freaking know that donating all of that money to try to help people isn't going to solve a thing. They need that money to build their bunkers for doomsday. I mean, you don't believe me? Just take a look at what these guys are doing. You want to say that this money should be going to help people, but what in the hell are you doing about it? People are starving all over the freaking planet. Where's your bleeding heart for them? And in a place like America where there are already plenty of services and companies available to provide food to the starving people, billionaires don't need to be throwing their money to solve the problems just because a whole bunch of broke people are complaining that the government isn't going to be funding their crippling sugar addictions. So the way I see it, woman, you really need to stick to your lane and actually know what you're talking about, because nobody needs to be hearing about the opinions of a broke woman.
That's funny because it's so true.
There are a lot of men who, if you asked them, do you want a Rolls Royce or would you prefer a Honda? They would say, I want a Rolls Royce. But the thing is, even if they were to be gifted a Rolls Royce, they would not be able to maintain that vehicle. And the same is true for women. If you just give yourself to a low effort man, he will run you into the ground just like he would run that Rolls Royce into the ground, because he can't afford the maintenance. He can't afford the insurance. He doesn't know what it takes to take care of something like that. And he doesn't know what it takes to take care of you. Here's the thing. The Rolls Royce is perfectly safe at the dealership. You are perfectly safe at home by yourself, maintaining yourself. And it's only a certain type of person who can come in, qualify to take that vehicle home. And you have to keep that in mind as you are single, as you have standards, as you have maintenance requirements that seem pretty basic to you. They are crippling to someone who has never been exposed to that type of woman. Nothing wrong with you.
Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but women voters? Welcome to planet Mars. I'll be over in my spaceship.
I don't know what in the hell you're talking about, woman, because if I had the opportunity to be gifted a Honda or a Rolls Royce, I'd take the Honda hands down, 10 times out of 10. Outside of the fact that I don't want to be seen driving around in a vehicle that exclusively caters to rich people, the taxes alone that I'd have to pay on a gift like that would just make it not worth it. And when you take into account that your typical Rolls needs to be repaired by a licensed Rolls Royce mechanic, there's no way I'd bother to go that route. And men feel the same way. Now, I will agree, you are a Rolls Royce. You're overpriced, you're gaudy, and you don't don't look all that great, and the amount that it would cost to maintain you isn't worth the trouble that you're getting. Hondas, on the other hand, are affordable, reliable, comfortable enough, and run a lower risk of getting stolen. And this is coming from a dude who doesn't know the first thing about cars. But if I can tell the value between a quality Honda that was designed to withstand literal wars and a car that almost ruined Marty McFly's rock and roll career because of his insecurities of being called a chicken, I know which one I'm going to choose. And I'm going to give you a hint, sister. It's not you or your overrated disaster of a motor vehicle.
And you're right. You're right.
I have a question for guys that are dating. If you go on a date and at the end of the date, the gal wants to split the bill 50-50, are you doing it? Are you letting her pay 50% of the bill or pay for her portion of the bill? This is a girl you had a great time with, great conversation. You definitely want to see her again. You want to go out with her again. You're really excited about it. Are you letting her pay for her portion of the bill? If she's adamant about it, how are you handling that?
That's a stupid question.
I see what you're trying to do there, sister, and it's not going to work. Of course we're gonna let her pay half of the bill. She's a strong and independent woman that don't need no man to pay for her half of the dinner, so of course we're going to let her. What kind of gentleman would we be to deny her the privilege? Now, in this situation, there's only two possible outcomes. One, she legitimately enjoyed herself and doesn't care about paying for her half, or she's trying to do one of those dumbass tests that you and your kind insists on pulling whenever you're trying to figure out our character. But it's not a character test for us, it just shows us everything about you. You have absolutely no intention of paying for your half of the dinner tab because you're trying to shame us into doing that. That's not gonna work out for us. We have better things to do with our time than be shamed at by an average looking woman who is so broke that she can't even pay for her half of an overcooked chicken dinner. So sorry, sister, either shell out your half of the dinner bill or just stop dating altogether. Either way, just stop your frickin' whining already.
Are you offended that she wants to pay for the bill? Are you happy? Like, oh, this is great. That's how it should be. There's so many independent women out here. Let them pay. Are you someone that's like, yeah, I'll let you get this one, but this is never happening again? I'm very curious how guys like that scenario or handle that scenario. And would you go out with that girl again? If you are offended, you don't want her paying for the bill, would you go out with her again? Let me know.
The poor are a filthy, thieving people.
Oh, you poor, deluded, tattooed freak of nature. We're not going to be offended. We're just going to call your bluff and watch you get offended because gentlemen are supposed to fund your eating habits, and that's not going to work for us anymore. Now, we all know why you're asking this question. You went out with a guy and tried testing him by bluffing that you were cool with paying half of the dinner tab. He called your bluff, and now you're left disillusioned with the notion that you're not getting any more free rides. You can't shame us into giving you the answers that you want, and you can't emasculate us into thinking that the gentlemanly thing to do is to enable your inability to pay for anything. It doesn't matter the chemistry or the conversation, because at the end of the day, if you're offended at the notion of a guy accepting your offer to pay half, then you were never interested in the guy in the first place. You just wanted free food at a trendy restaurant. And if that's your goal in life, then you're gonna have to pony up some dough. And if that's not gonna work out for you, then my suggestion is to either learn how to cook or to pay your fair share. Because it's the rules of the road now, woman. Cash, gas, or ass. You ain't riding for free anymore, sweetheart. And if there's anybody who's looking to go on an awesome road trip, you need not look any further than the fine members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon. Not only are these guys cool for chipping in for gas, snacks, and incidentals, they're also some of the best damn passenger DJs in all of Sector Sigma. All hail! If you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can get access to almost 100 videos of exclusive content that you're not going to find on YouTube. Links in the pinned comment down below if you want to check it out. And that's going to do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.